Hi guys, welcome to the special edition of Adopt Nikola with one and only Grandmaster Sergey Karjakin. Thank you for being here. It's a great honor to be here with Grandmaster Karjakin, and also with International Master Eric Rosen, who is actually one of the people responsible for me to coming to Twitch, and to WFM Maria Emelianova Photochess, who is actually largely responsible for arranging this match. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nikola.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Sergey.
Yeah, great to be here.
Hi, Eric.
Well,
Hello, Sergey. Thank you. I want to say a couple of things before we pledge into the match. There is a very small club of people who played a match for World Championship since 2010 for the past 10 years. That club is probably the most exclusive club of all chess players. It's basically Anand Topalov, Geifand, then Magnus won the championship in 2013, Sergey played for World Championship in 2016, and Fabiano Caruana played in 2018. That's a grand total of 6 people that played this. It's as exclusive club in chess world as you can have. And the biography, the curriculum vitae of my today's opponent, is absolutely fascinating. He was an international master at 11. He was a grandmaster at 12. He was a rapid world champion in 2012. He was a blitz world champion in 2016. I'm basically in awe and honored to be in the same virtual chessboard, virtual room with Sergey Karjakin. So welcome, Sergey Karjakin. Sergey, I'm hoping we will be able to see you more on Twitch. And this is actually one of the ideas behind this match.
Yes, maybe it will be my first step.
Very good. Very good. And Open Field Media, for the record, is, shout out to the sponsors for the match. Open Field Media is sponsoring this match. And Open Field Media is more than happily sponsor any match that Grandmaster Karjakin wants to play in the future. And we're actually going to work on it later and with Maria. Also, a huge shout out to International Master Eric Rosen, who doesn't need any introduction. He is Twitch royalty. He has his YouTube channel basically uncovered for me back in 2018, how much chess has advanced in the last couple of years, in the last 3 or 4 years, with the advent of Twitch and YouTube and online playing. So thank you, Eric, for agreeing to commentate this match.
Oh, it's really a pleasure. Yeah, I didn't know that I was one of the people who inspired you to get into Twitch. So
absolutely,
it's an honor.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, Eric, congratulations on 200,000 YouTube subscribers that you hit recently.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, no, it's been exploding recently. Have to probably thank the Queen's Gambit film for making chess so popular.
Yes.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it.
Very impressive.
Thank you. All right. So without much ado, you guys, just to summarize the adoption format, it's 10 games, one attempt at adoption. Basically, if I draw one game, I win the match, which very frankly, according to the ELO, the difference here is I have 4% chances. But I'll give it a puncher's choice. I use Chuck Wepner, who once knocked down Muhammad Ali, as my role model, and we will see what happens. At any rate, it doesn't matter. It's very great and a great honor to have Sergey Karjakin in my channel here, and I already feel like that's a huge victory. Okay. So the way this works is you guys should be able to hear commentary by Eric and Maria. I am going to disconnect. I'm going to take my headphones off so I won't hear the commentary. And I already see a challenge from Sergey, and I think we are basically ready to play. All right, guys, time to start. Wish me luck. I will accept the challenge now.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Okay. Good luck. Okay, so they can't hear us, correct?
I hope
Hopefully
not.
not. Okay.
Not that we can really help Sergey here, but of course we don't want to have any reason for anyone to suspect that we were biased against him, right?
Not at all, no. Okay, so I see the first game is underway. Looks like a bishop's opening from Sergey. Actually, didn't get a chance to ask Nikola how much he prepared for this.
Without asking him, I can tell you that Nikola is always thoroughly prepared, and it's really impressive how much. Obviously, he's a busy businessman and has a family and supports all of us on Twitch. Watches the streams all the time. So at the same time, he always finds time to prepare for the match. And this match was planned only six days ago. And he also had an adoption match on Sunday against Laura Onuk. And he managed to avoid that adoption by winning the game 5, if I'm not mistaken. And then also prepared for this one. So I'm sure that there will be some... Yep.
That's, I guess, a good start for him. But yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to avoid adoption against Karjakin.
Do you think you can adopt Nikola?
Well, Nikola has beaten me a few times just in like kind of friendly but competitive games on stream. So I don't know. I would have to take it very seriously to be able to adopt him. Yeah, he's definitely a like good, knowledgeable player. But it'll be interesting to see how like Sergey deals with him. And so far, I like the opening choice from White. Just kind of a nice, stable sort of Vienna. Oh, what we call this, like Vienna Gambit type thing, but not really a Gambit. A lot of potential for White to attack on the king side in the middle game.
So, do you think Sergey will castle longside and then go like g4, g5?
It's possible. I mean, White usually has a hard time castling kingside in this position, right? Because it's bishop controlling g1. I've seen cases where White just leaves a king in the center and then storms. But bishop e4, I'm not entirely sure about. The bishop was just so nice on this diagonal.
But of course, knight a4 is always possible to try to trade it, unless black will play something like a6 and hide it on a7.
Yeah, it's a very typical
makes
idea.
Sense. Yeah, it's such a good bishop on this diagonal.
But you know what Sergey is allowing here is bishop takes c3 and then just kind of casually walking into having triple pawns.
Yeah, but also immediately h6 and g5 is coming, and Sergey will have to take on f6 because otherwise he's dropping on e4.
h6 g5 there is en passant. F takes
correct.
g6.
Yes,
but maybe it's still a positional idea.
About. Yeah, but you will leave the e4 pawn completely alone.
So I like queen d3 because it reinforces e4, reinforces c3.
But there he could have taken on c3 again, which probably already becomes dangerous since Nikola decided to castle longside, because you don't want to expose b file against the World Blitz champion.
Yeah, you have to be careful. I do like the way Nikola is playing. Like he hasn't
he's simplifying.
Cracked. He's playing solidly. He is spending more time. I like his expression here. I don't think we've seen Beth Harmon do that pose, like both arms over the head. But
no. He also said that he's wearing his luckiest hat. Yeah, Nikola has a lot of hats, and we've seen him changing hats during the same adoption match.
Are you a hat person? Do you wear hats like in over-the-board chess?
No.
I don't either.
I feel like no hat has the size like comfortable enough for my head. So I just feel very uncomfortable wearing it unless I need it to be warm, which obviously
It
you
has to
have
serve a practical use.
Yeah, and
not
in
just for
Russia we
fashion.
have a lot of practical use like that. But yeah, it just feels a bit weird, and you cannot really see around you. But on the other hand, I can understand over the board you don't want to like see much stuff going on around you. Maybe it helps you focus.
It does limit your field of vision. Maybe it sometimes prevents you from looking at your opponent, which could be useful. But that doesn't apply to online chess.
These days, you need some other type of hat or rather face covering. But that's another story. Maybe we will have some new fashion next year for the board chess.
Anyway, it looks like it's going to be kind of a long grind, like equal material, 8 pawns for each side. Each side has their own half open file.
G file.
Rook
G3. But now he's allowing 95.
Is there 95 is that's a one move you have to consider.
Puzzle Rush is talking here. Yeah.
If not for 95, Rook G3 would be a nice move.
Yeah, but Rook G7 probably was safer in this position. It's just that the queen is a bit unlucky, not very well placed.
Yeah, very unfortunate square for the queen on D7.
But here now it takes on C4, knight F6.
So he's desperadoing the rook, but he's going to be down material in the end of this.
Yeah, maybe taking on C4 was better.
That's the thing, when you play like a very, very strong Grandmaster, all it takes is like one tactical oversight to just get a losing position. But up until Rook G3, like Nikola is doing very well.
But maybe he just did not realize that he can take on C4. Sometimes such moves can be like an oversight, like a blind spot.
Yeah, Rook takes C4 would have definitely offered some better chances.
Of course, then by taking on F6, Sergey would have protected E4, and you still need to be careful with your rook. Not to get it trapped.
If we look at the current position, like this move C5 is actually, it's a nice way of making progress for white. Because usually when your optics change, the way you end up making progress is by opening files for the rooks.
And of course, after BC5, he can take on C5, so it's not even a sacrifice of a pawn, although he could have sacrificed as well to activate his rooks. And now, of course, D6 is very weak.
And D6 is very weak. I mean, there's knight C4, but after Rook D4, it's not going to last for black.
Yeah. And Rook C8, he simply will move the king away. And B3 is coming.
Yeah, King B1 it's a type of move you usually see in the middle game to protect the king, but it's still relevant here, and now B3 should be pretty much lights out for black.
Yeah, these rooks are monsters.
We're going to have to remind maybe both players to mute their mics, maybe between games. Anyway, are the players rejoining the call for a quick analysis?
Yeah, I think
yes,
so.
Just a very brief. Well, that's what happens when you play a first game against a super GM. You end up missing simple tactics, but that's fine. And I have to say one thing.
Yes, that's why. That's why I played Rook D1 to be ready against Rook G3.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Thank you, Laura. Just a huge shout out to Laura Unuk, who is now putting spam this thunder to make Sergey blunder. Laura Unuk is the WGM from Slovenia that I played actually the similar match against yesterday. So, all right. I don't know if Eric,
We just had one kind of general question for you, Nikola. How much specific preparation did you do for Sergey? Did you scout out his openings, or
I did, but I didn't have this on my list. I checked all his chess-based stuff, and this wasn't part of the prep, which is unfortunately rather obvious. So.
And what about
you,
Sergey?
You play this opening quite well.
No, it was fine. I just I assumed that I can take advantage of the G file, but then it turned out, and I assumed that there will be a C5 coming. I just didn't expect the knight sacrifice. So.
Well, I think that also you should have taken on C3 when you had a chance to force me to take with a pawn, and
yes,
it wasn't so good.
Yeah. That would be before you play Queen D3, right?
Yeah.
That would have. I was thank you, Sergey. No, I was worried that then I was planning on castling long, and that would have tripled the pawns. I was worried that would be opening the B file, but live and learn. That's why these matches are being played, and this is why it's playing like this is there. And thank you, Sergey, again for doing this. This was a very educational loss. As most of the people who follow my channel know, I have a stream every Monday night, Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's called My Best Losses. So I'll actually show this game. This was very instructive. Okay. We are ready to go. I'm going to mute myself.
And one request, Sergey, if you can mute your microphone too, that would be good.
There's a nice child there.
You can, Sergey, you can do in Zoom actually pretty easily.
Yes, I will do that now.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I do that and see you after the next game.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so that was game one. I mean, if Nikola can avoid tactical blunders, hopefully he can put up some bigger fights. This game he has white.
Yeah, so let's see if Sergey will walk into a prep.
Mm-hmm. Are we going to see a mainline Najdorf? Najdorf is one of those openings that just scares me, completely. There's so much theory, but to be a world-class Grandmaster, you really have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, but I mean, against Sergey, I probably will be terrified in any opening.
That's true, yeah. No, but kudos to Nikola for going into maybe some sharp theory. He's playing actually a trendy line, this H3 G4 idea.
Yeah, he likes to play Adam's attack, and we'll see.
Yeah, this is out of my wheelhouse of offbeat openings or tricky gambits, but I mean generally the idea for white is to develop get some nice piece harmony bishop E3 and then later pawn storm on the king side. F4, G5.
Do they do the short castle? I think white normally either delays the castling or castles long side and plays G5 pretty soon.
Well, in this position, it looks like white's losing a pawn. As after this last move B4, white has to move away the knight.
Yeah, maybe instead of the castle.
Wow, look at this move. Knight D5.
Okay. So now if he takes, he's getting into some trouble. Bishop E7.
This is very cold-blooded by Nikola.
G5, and where does the knight go? That's the problem. If the pawn takes on D5, the knight will have to retreat to D7, right?
Well, there's G5, knight E4.
Not immediately. I mean, right, we first take, and now, of course, black has
but
to
now
develop
G5
the
coming.
bishop. And now G5, and I think black needs to give up the piece back. This must be a prep.
I mean, Nikola's still playing slower than Sergey.
Yeah, that's of course one of the.
But you have to play very actively here. If you play just a slow move, then black's gonna castle and be okay.
You have to play G5 as well. You have to do it.
Right. So G5, there's knight takes D5. But then maybe knight F5. Things get very messy very quickly. Knight f5, of course, is one of the main
Has
ideas.
to castle after g5.
Knight c6.
Wow.
I guess that's
have no
another idea.
what's going- Yeah.
One question: do you have the engine evaluation turned on?
Yes, but in this position, I will not trust it.
Okay, because I have the bar, but I don't have any lines.
g5 now, and the knight has nowhere to go, and probably the only move is castle.
There's also knight g8, but that's kind of a depressing. Wow, he goes for it.
But what do you do after queen d4?
Queen d4.
The rook is hanging, the pawn is hanging.
Is Nikola gonna win? It's not
I mean,
difficult move to find.
This is the only move that is right there in front of you. Queen d4.
Does he see it, but he's just double checking?
I hope so. He still has 3 minutes, so it's quite a lot of time for such a position.
I mean, you need to have the board vision, like just spot the two things that are undefended and find the one move to attack both of them. And that just wins a rook, right?
Yeah, one of the rooks, yeah. Oh my god.
Oh,
No!
he doesn't find it. Oh. It's tough. It's tough when you're playing a super GM because you don't expect them to.
He just didn't expect.
gift
Yeah,
you so
he
much.
trusted him.
Yeah.
He trusted too much. So now, Sergey, of course, saw this, and he will move the rook or the king.
But it's still not easy for black to play.
Yeah, he can also play bishop e3 now and then.
I mean, I do like king f8 because it got out of the pin and it defends g7. But bishop e3, what does black do?
Rook c7.
Rook c7, there's bishop b6. So it looks like bishop e3 just traps the rook, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And if rook a, there's c7.
So it's at least an exchange. Of course, taking on g7 would have been so nice. Such a position against the GM.
Yeah, no, if he found that move, it probably would have been just easily winning. That's something
And
to...
he really needs to maintain his time as well.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because an exchange up is quite nice, and of course the king is without the castle, and the rook is still on h8, but Sergey will be blitzing the moves.
And that's the thing, like, even if you have, like, a good position, you still need enough time to be able to convert. So now he plays queen d4, unfortunately, a move too late.
Now it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Still needs a lot of work from Sergey, because his knights
He's
are
very underdeveloped.
They're still in their starting positions, and the rook on h8, but of course it's not the time to take the pawns, especially that he's allowing d5 at least.
Yeah, even knight c6 and the c pawn very quickly turned from a strength to a weakness.
He does have queen a4, and he can take on a6, and it will be very hard to stop the pawns on the queen side.
I think that's probably what you have to play for.
He basically has a rook and a knight down, and this pawn race probably will be faster than Sergey's development. But
Yeah, it's still double-edged. Yeah, I mean, it takes some time for black to develop. Knight e5 is a nice move, just very solid center square, unleashing the rook too, probably threatening rook c2. I have a feeling time is going to tell the story here.
Yeah, maybe bishop f4 attacking the knight. Well, of course, pawns here don't really matter that much.
I do like bishop f4 because you're just trying to use the pieces that you have that are developed.
And also it's kind of a skewer here. The bishop.
Yeah, especially after rook ad1 coming, there'll be skewer pins. 97. Man, this game, I see the engine bar just fluctuating so much.
Yeah.
It's already been a roller
Because
coaster.
computer does not understand much here. It's with so sharp position.
You can probably snag the pawn, but maybe not. A queen b4, okay, going after d6.
D6 is a more important pawn.
And we should note that g5 has been loose for many moves, but black can't really take it without worrying about d6.
Yeah, d6 is more important here. That's why maybe knight e5 again is a first move.
But knight e5, there's going to be rook a d1. And white's building up pressure with all the pieces.
You can also try to trade the queens by queen b8. Rook d1, natural move. h6, maybe.
Is there rook takes e7 here? Just, I mean, it's a
Or
tactical
rook
idea.
d8. He also has a check on b8, right?
Oh, he plays it.
Wow. So now it's a rook. It's a full rook. But
White's down a
after-
rook, but it's almost
No,
a
but-
wooden shield.
I think rook d6 was stronger.
Oh, yeah, rook d6 would attack the queen. The problem here, in some cases, white's pinned along the d file.
Yeah. Yeah, it is actually a pin. He is not threatening anything except for taking on e7, but then queen recaptures.
Yeah, I don't even know what the threat is. Maybe some like rook d2 move just got out of the pin. But still, like, very complex.
Yeah.
Like, black has some problems to solve. I think king h2.
Did he have g6 instead of king h2?
G6 would have been insane.
Yeah, I mean it's just threatens queen f4 and mate.
Wow, so
Oh, but
he's giving away his
up a-
rook.
He was giving away a rook, and
He's
this is
gonna win
probably too much.
e7, but he'll
Yeah,
be down
but
two
the king
exchanges.
is safe on g8.
And amazingly, the rook on h8 got into the game without needing to
Yeah.
move. 'cause
That's
the
why
H file
maybe
opened.
g6 also was better to
Yeah, keep
yeah,
the file
this-
closed.
But he's already very low on time. My God, what a game!
This is much different than the first game. Like, first game was solid, then one tactical issue, but this game, like, just a complete
now rook
mess.
rook e1, and it's probably over.
Yeah, Sergey can take his sweet time.
He's probably very relieved.
It's a wake-up call, yeah.
No, it's something.
So
like
there's
rook
even...
e6.
Oh, so there is one trick. If rook h3 looks like a free pawn, there's queen c8. But no way. No way Sergey's going to fall into that.
Yeah, if we remove the rook from h8, it's then it would be nice.
What a game.
Yeah.
Definitely have some questions for the players.
I think I was lost a few times. Minimum.
This is your game from 2008, Sergey, right? This whole knight d5. You played this in 2008.
You mean against Luke Van Velle, right?
Yes, look when well. This is how the whole Adam's attack thing started with knight d5, right? That's the game.
You know so good my games. I actually forgot my game. I was just
Okay.
playing.
I knew that this after knight d5 that white is supposed to be better, but going
Yeah.
there to winning is obviously difficult.
Yes, but I think the key moment was on move 15 that you didn't play queen d4, which was winning.
Yes, and this is one of those unfortunate moments when you see right after you make a move. Queen d4 here was winning, yes. Yeah.
Yes, and also I think that on move 22, I mean, I was very much wrong with 95, with this 97. This was losing on time. And then on move 22, you could have played bishop d6 or rook takes d6.
Rook d6.
Yes.
What's the
Yeah.
point?
Yes, and then if black takes, then queen b8.
And
Oh.
queen cannot return, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Probably bishop d6 is...
Bishop d6 was, should be
yeah.
winning.
Yeah. All right. Well,
That was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
definitely
well, I was
something.
trying to play creatively, but I should have played more solid, much more solid.
okay. No, thank you. Yeah, this is basically 2008. Adam's attack started become, which is H3 Sicilian against NAJDORF, started being popular against Sergey's game against Luke Van Velle in 2008. And Of course, I knew this game, but it's very hard to remember the game with 5+2 and adrenaline rushing in the whole 9 yards. So, hey, Anna-Maya, thank you for the raid. That's very greatly appreciated. Thank you. I'm sorry, Eric, I interrupted you. You wanted to ask us some questions.
Oh no, you didn't interrupt. I was just impressed that you knew this line better than Sergey.
Better than Sergey, yeah.
I wouldn't say that, but that's fine. Okay. All right. Well, guys, this is definitely going on my best losses. How Nikola almost won a game against the Super Grandmaster. All right. This match is already worth it. I'm gonna brag about it for the rest of my life. Thank you, Sergey. Let's play. Let's play next game.
All right. Yeah, that was very, very nerve-wracking. This is crazy.
So we should note that even if Nikola manages to draw or win a game, they'll still play the full 10 games, correct?
Yeah. Do not root for Sergey just for the sake of all the 10 games. We are not going to be taken off of our entertainment anyway.
Okay, so different opening, mainline Spanish. Nice to see, like every game, they're mixing things up, at least so far. A4 is considered like one of these anti-martial variations, where now it's more difficult for black to get a true martial gambit.
Okay. I wonder if this is also some kind of a prep.
I mean, Nikola playing quickly. And D5 looks to be maybe some version of a martial. Like it's a pawn sacrifice, because after knight takes D5, E5 is hanging.
Yeah. White also sometimes plays C3, not D3. I wonder if there is any difference here, because I saw martial in this C3.
Oh yeah, with the pawn on D3, maybe it's a bit different.
Yeah. Because the pawn is still hanging. But what do you do now?
But knight D2, okay, very solid move.
Maybe you can bring the knight back and open the diagonal for the bishop. Or maybe queen D7 with the idea to bring the rook.
I'm just
Also
curious,
sometimes-
like, if you don't defend the pawn, like if you play a move like queen D7, wow, knight D4. Knight D4 is a cool idea, actually.
No going back.
So he's doubling down on giving away the pawn. But this move, it does a few things. It pressures the bishop on B3. It does help unleash this bishop on B7.
Also, potentially, he can play C5.
There's
and get
C5
even more
ideas.
space.
Yeah. And one of the main forms of compensation for black in this line is this light squared bishop directed at the king side. Because white's own light squared bishop, it doesn't really serve great defense of the squares on the king side. It's a bit out of play on B3. And Sergey looks to be maybe out-prepared yet again. Uh-oh. The times were flashing for me. I think there was a bit of server lag. We should be okay now.
I think it was fine here, but maybe...
Yeah, it was only very brief.
Yeah, so for those of you guys who don't know, and yeah, for me also now happened. So Nikola Stojsin is also streaming. You can find him using the comment Nikola in my channel.
We have the same command. I have a Nikola command too.
Yeah, so please open his stream as well. You can open it in the second tab or use Twitch. What was it called?
Multi-Twitch?
Multi-Twitch. Yes, multi-Twitch. You can use it for.
And
all
he
of
deserves a
our-
follow, especially for that last game. And for this game, like, look at his knights.
Wow,
They're so
these
monstrous.
knights. Oh my god. I wonder if it's already preferable for black. This bishop on C1. Look at that. Like it's
I mean, yeah, white's bishops aren't so useful here, and black has some like really nice piece harmony. G2 is a very clear target. I do have the engine bar. Engine is liking black, but it just seems very complex. Like you're down a pawn, and you're gonna have to play accurately to get compensation.
And of course, once you are a bit too slow, the knights will unleash on e4, attacking the knight on f4. Then the bishop will come back to life, and then all of the pieces of white can potentially direct towards the king of Nikola. And this is very double-edged.
Oh, it reminds me of the previous game. Like you're down material, and you're gonna have to play actively and accurately to get some edge.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes ahead, takes the bishop. That move maybe helps white a bit more because it.
It does, but on the other hand, bishop pair is a bishop pair.
It's true.
And maybe he can put the bishop on f6 after retreating to maybe knight e6. I don't like knight g6 as much because it's kind of out of the play.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe knight e6, bishop f6, some pressure on b2.
Right. But white has initiative. Like after knight takes b3, white's the one making a threat.
Yeah. That's why I did not. You really want to attack with every move, create a threat, and have everything with the tempo. And now he allows to trade a bad bishop for a good knight. So maybe this is also a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, we might see a two bishops versus two knights situation, which I mean, usually you like having two bishops against two knights, but if you're down a pawn,
yeah, and it's a central pawn,
it might not be so fun for black.
But Sergey does take his time to think. Meanwhile, thank you so much, Chess Ninja, for your 10,000 bits. If you are, if you place this as a bet on Nikola, we have quite a good odds here.
Look at this move, knight a5. Like just leaving the knight on f4, going after the bishop.
Yeah, Sergey is counter-attacking. Yeah, taking on f3 maybe is giving up your... Of course, bishop pair is gone. Also, now...
It seems like the compensation has disappeared.
Yeah, and the pawn structure immediately reveals all of the weaknesses, especially with knight c6 immediately coming. And you don't really know where to put the queen now.
Oh, queen h4. I mean, the problem now is white's pieces are very well positioned. And without the light squared bishop, like you would love a light squared bishop for black in this position.
But now he is also losing another pawn. He cannot recapture because rook a8 and knight e7. And he's walking into it.
It's another puzzle rush combination.
Yeah, that's why the queen on d7 probably was better, although very passive, but at least defending this e7 square.
I think now he's realizing his doom.
Yeah. But still, he managed to make Sergey really try to find the best continuation after this bishop on c1 being completely...
Oh, it is impressive, like his opening preparation. He's getting interesting dynamic positions. I'd be very curious... Okay, he just resigns. Be very curious to see what he could have done better there.
Yeah, black was fine. But no need to take on b3, I think.
Yeah, I forgot the line here. That's...
Yeah, you have many options actually after knight e5 to f3. A lot of moves for you.
Yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking here, and I completely overlooked this the relatively simple tactic. I think knight b3 needed to play it earlier.
I actually think that knight f4 is fine. Or you could take on b3 also earlier.
Yeah. remembered the game that you played against the Magnus, in which you played that Magnus played knight e6 at some point, and then it was basically a Nikola end game, but that obviously wasn't in this line. So.
Oh, it was
maybe
the line
after.
with h3 instead of
It was an
h4.
h3 line, and I was hoping to use that. I know that with knight d4, my book knowledge basically stopped, unfortunately. So, okay.
And Sergey, what point were you out of your kind of opening preparation?
Well, I knew that there is move d5 after d3 and takes knight bd2. I think it was some games, maybe Caruana Carlsen or something, but Magnus played f6. As far as I remember, maybe I am wrong, but I think he played f6 and.
And what would you recommend instead of knight takes b3? Because we were liking Black's activity, but wasn't sure how to best continue.
I'm not sure also, but at least I think that even after knight b3, it was better to play some knight e6 move and to keep the bishop on b7 and the knight. And I think
then probably c5 and
good. Yeah, and also c5. Actually, c5 instead of knight takes b3 was also interesting.
Okay.
c5 here, or maybe bishop c5. Also put some pressure on f2.
Bishop c5. Yeah,
Which
because
move
it's not so easy for me to make a move.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to take on d4 because some knight g2 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The end of this position is that Black needs to play c5 and then c4 and then put bishop on c5, but the right continuation basically escaped me. I actually played this a lot, but obviously playing this against somebody my strength and playing this against Sergey is a very different proposition. So, okay. All right. Thank you, Sergey. Let's I'm going to mute myself and time for the next game.
Okay. Good luck.
Good luck. Wow. What a prep.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. Like Nikola, I didn't realize he's so like knowledgeable about like these, I guess these theoretical games. Definitely way more knowledgeable than me regarding recent opening theory.
Oh, and now they are in KARO. I wonder if we will see a tile variation.
What is a tile variation?
Is it's with h4 and h4 and I think it's also g4. He sacrifices on b2 if queen plays to b6. g4. G4 now. I demand g4.
It's another line I don't know too much about, but I know there's a lot of theory. I know it's very trendy.
I did see this one already in some adoption matches. Nikola did beat titled players with this variation.
So he's taking his time here?
He might be choosing between g4 immediately and first maybe bishop to e3. But I think he knows what he wants to play.
Well, maybe he wasn't expecting Sergey to play a CARO KANN. I can't remember Sergey playing too many CARO KANNs in like professional events.
Oh,
it might be a small curveball. A g4, okay.
I called it. Okay, so now I think, knight c3, and if now probably he might even play f4. I'm not sure, but maybe something simple more.
Do you know why the bishop goes to d7 and not h7? Because it seems so counterintuitive.
It feels like Sergey is now a bit more cautious, knowing, because he already knows it's a tile variation. And so now white is giving up on b2, and sometimes they even give up their rook. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, this looks like really, really sharp.
because Nikola knows this line so well.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure that Sergey is already regretting going for KARJAKIN.
Yeah, like now it doesn't even look like a CARO KANN. It just looks like a sad French, like black lost all
Okay,
this
come on,
time.
F4, do it.
Is that for like the main? Is this still main line?
It's one of the lines.
Ooh.
Yeah. What would you do on F4?
Maybe knight c6. I mean, usually black wants to apply pressure.
I think you can play h5 and g5 there. I was looking at it, but I think my head is just not big enough to remember all that.
Well, you should note now that if queen takes b2, white always has this rook b1 resource with rook takes b7. So
Yep.
Nikola very patient with queen d2.
But it keeps all the threats. F4 still might be played. He's kind of forcing h5 because you feel nervous about the possibility of white to play h5, and then g5, and you don't have h5 to close up the position. And of course here the easiest is to close position for black and turn all of the play to the queen side, which for black would be really good because of all the pieces heading that direction. But now after g5, I think.
So g5, it's a move that usually you don't want to play, like a very anti-positional. And the big drawback with this move is you give away the f5 square for black's knight. So Sergey's probably dreaming of this potential knight outpost. Question is, what else do you do as white? Do you play f3?
Oh, Hedgehog, thank you for gifting us up to AM Adan in Nikola's channel. Yeah, a lot of support for Nikola, guys. You have a lot of nice emotes in the channel. Please spam.
Yeah, you use the Nikola
Support
command.
Nikola.
Use the
You
Nikola
can use
emotes.
my channel's emotes as well. Let's root for Nikola.
It's another game like he's getting a nice lead in development, and he hasn't even sacrificed anything yet.
Yeah. I normally don't like to take on h5 because you allow activity for the rook at the later stage. And I always feel nervous. Once you trade the queens, the rook on h8 becomes a beast. And your pawn on h4, of course, becomes the target immediately.
At the same time, white's getting initiative.
Yeah,
like active
there's
knight.
still a lot of initiative. And he can always play h5. It's defended. g5 cannot be played.
The question is, like, how do you make use of your lead in development and your space advantage as white? Visually, it looks really nice, but like black is super solid. Everything's defended.
You know what I'm sensing? Another sacrifice.
Knight takes d5?
Yes.
We already saw a knight to d5 sacrifice in game 2.
It was not even taking anything, and he did not hesitate. The move was played quite quickly. Now he's thinking. No, he took on c5.
Okay, so very
C5,
peaceful series of trades.
Well, white still has quite a nice position. Both knights of black are not developed. So many already the third game out of 4. Sergey is severely underdeveloped.
Not following opening principles.
At all.
Yeah, like the games, at least from Sergey's perspective, they're not the typical games you want to show like newer players.
No, don't learn
opening
chess.
strategy.
Like I will turn the board. Just look at this position from black's perspective, and it's hard to imagine that there is such a big rating gap between them.
Well, he finally develops a knight. Move 14.
But now rook g7.
But e5's hanging, so we could see a trade.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to take on g7 because e5 pawn's more valuable. So maybe knight d3?
But then black cannot castle because f7 will be hanging as well. And he might even push the h-pawn after long castle.
Well, after knight e5, the knight will defend f7. And it's also threatening a fork on f3.
So now long castle.
But long castling I like, yeah, because you get the king safe. You want to use the open e-file. This is another crazy, crazy position.
Yeah, the knight is defending f7, but we of course want to trade it by knight d3. Oh, I think I'm more nervous than Nikola.
Well, looking at his time just makes me nervous. 52 seconds.
Yeah, of course it takes a lot of time because you have so much trust in your opponent. You really need to switch off this feeling of that he cannot blunder, that you cannot outplay him. You can. You just need to simply play chess and make the best moves.
Yeah, and hopefully at least the first few games gave him some confidence that he can still throw some punches and create opportunities.
But now black finishes development, and f2 and h4 pawns become...
not the prettiest pawns.
Some trades here were probably not in Nikola's favor.
Yeah, it was a difficult position to play with little time.
Yeah.
And things are looking solid for black. I do like bishop h3 because you restrict the knight. And it's still a little bit awkward. Like the minor pieces for black are not so impressive. But okay, Sergey just goes pawn grabbing.
Yeah, that's the problem with all of these gambits and very aggressive lines. If you catch your opponent into a opening prep and mate, it's really nice. But once you lost the feeling of the position and you forgot the line, or you could not finish with the mating attack, you might end up just losing because the position suddenly
And speaking
collapses.
of just losing, we're going to see another simple puzzle rush tactic.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to play like blunder free with 5 seconds left.
Yeah. Yeah, everything is collapsing here, and suddenly it's white. King's safety is not ideal. You cannot move the rook.
But it's another cool game. I mean, from an opening and early middle game standpoint.
Very exciting.
Yeah, it was very, very dynamic, very interesting position. But I think white should not have played knight d3, because after we exchanged the knights, or to take on d3 with the bishop, maybe was better.
Yeah.
Because after queen d3, knight h6, I thought. And also I wasn't sure about rook to g7, maybe knight d3 and to keep this pawn on e5. I'm not sure.
The position was way too dynamic for my ability to calculate in bad as it is in a position that was this complex.
Okay, that's on me. I actually was calling you to play g4, and even after you thought for a while, I was like, still play, please. So it's my fault. Blame this loss on me.
No. G4 is actually... sorry.
It was actually a game, Kramnik against Leko, and they played g4, bishop d7, and knight d2, I think they played. It was famous. It was famous game where Kramnik had to win in order to win the match in Brissago 2004.
Wow.
Right.
I just have a very basic question about this opening, because I don't play this line for either side. But why do you put the bishop on d7 and not h7?
Yeah, but then the problem is that he goes e6 and some crazy position.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, the funny thing is that I played an adoption match against WGM Laura Unuk, who is actually in chat, and we played this CARO advanced KANN advanced bishop f5, and she played 4h5, and then I followed it with a bishop g5 line, and I ended up managing to win that game, which is fine. I wasn't sure about g4. I know that's actually the line, but I couldn't really remember the details, so I was wondering whether it was the right decision to get in there. But this was definitely a very interesting game, and you know, I don't think I was without chances. So anyway,
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to send the rematch.
Okay, good luck.
Okay.
Like,
Okay, so approaching the
definitely
halfway
some
point.
chances. Yeah.
Yeah, no, these games are entertaining, but we're kind of seeing recurring themes of there's being some chances, but also the I guess a factor of time trouble and just tactical blunders.
Yeah.
Being the big kind of, I guess, causes for losing.
Italian. Wow. Have we had any opening repeating so far?
No,
Probably not.
I think I feel like Sergey is going to play a different opening every game.
He's just trying to find an opening where Nikola will not catch him and
Right. But it's nice, like, I guess most Grandmasters these days, they're just so flexible and in terms of what lines they can play, and it's hard to...
Of course, and
it's
they
hard to
study
predict
so
exactly what
many
they'll do.
games. Of course.
Exactly. I guess the exception to that is MVL. Like, you can always expect a Najdorf and a Grunfeld from him.
Yeah, he even says it himself that he's the most boring top player. That he's always has the same openings. He's so funny. Von Cloud, no, I don't think so. Sergey has a lot of respect for Soviet school and for Nikola, and he will not play that.
Yeah, we should keep in mind this is Sergey Karjakin and not Hikaru Nakamura. So
yeah. No, if a Soviet player plays King E2, he's just banished from Soviet school, and yeah, he cannot pronounce the name of Dvoretsky anymore, or even mention Nimzovich. So this is forbidden.
Yeah, this opening is like the complete opposite of a Von Cloud. Like players playing very normally. Ooh, G4.
Oh, wow. Now Sergey's turn. Now we will see a lesson by top Grandmaster how to attack in Gioco Piano.
Yeah.
Or that's actually Pianissimo, right?
I don't know. I actually don't know the difference between piano and pianissimo, but I really like this move G4. And I don't quite like black castling because of the idea of G5 coming.
Exactly, Kuchen. Yeah, you cannot pronounce Batvinik or Dvoretsky anymore. Well, we see G5. This looks really dangerous.
I mean, G5 is so hard to stop, too.
Maybe bishop e6 now, and if he takes, of course, Sergey probably will not take, because then f takes e6 and f file will open, and immediately we can see the exposed weak f4 square. And the knight will immediately go to f4 via g6. Oh, he plays now.
G5, yeah, it's a very, very powerful attack. I've lost a few like very quick games from the black side in these sort of positions, where now, I mean, I guess Sergey brings a knight in. I was thinking bishop g5 was more natural, but there's so many white pieces that are just having fun in this position. And the rook can always come to g1. There's h4, h5 ideas.
So, Eric, in positions like this, where white is attacking on your king, what is normally your reaction?
I mean, there's a few strategies to keep in mind. Yeah, so from a positional standpoint, sometimes you just want to shift the focus to the center. Especially if the opponent's going for a flank attack, a move like d5 you should always keep in mind, which Nikola goes for. Another strategy is just going for trades. So if you trade pieces, then hopefully you won't get mated, but sometimes that's hard to achieve. I like this move queen f3. You get the queen involved. You reinforce e4. You're also controlling f4, so now knight f4 doesn't make as much sense.
Yeah, now this knight might get in trouble after h5. We would need to find where to put it. Here, which knight do you take with?
You could even take with a pawn. It does open this d file, but it's hard for
Yeah.
black to exploit. Okay, this move
Yeah,
makes
well,
sense
maybe
as well.
queen d7 and rook d8, but probably bringing the second knight into play. And he also potentially can bring the other rook once he moves his king out of the first rank. He could join the attack.
There's
in the
also like weird
g1.
rook a4 or rook a5 ideas, but
That's correct.
probably no
Yeah.
need so soon.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of things for black to worry about here between h5 and rook g1.
Yeah. Yeah, the knight probably already has to take on e4, otherwise it's so much pressure on f6. We obviously don't want to open up the g file completely. We don't want to double the pawns on f6. That probably already will be strategically lost.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, this is
probably
what happens when a super grandmaster follows opening principles. Like he developed his pieces, and yeah, now just has a very fun attack. Queen takes e4.
Okay, so now h5 is already a threat because
Knight is pinned to the
knight.
mating square.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
And
Well,
now
he's going for
h5 is...
counterplay against
Oh,
f2.
Sergey is immediately replying. He probably didn't even calculate it.
I was wondering if h5 worked there. It's an interesting line. But this also seems very pleasant.
Yeah.
Because h5 is still... at least still an idea. Of course, you have to calculate. But the simple idea of queenside castling, getting all the pieces involved.
Maybe we should force a queen trade. The queen is so well centralized on e4. Maybe queen c6, since the rook on h1 is not defended. Oh, he does it. I'm not sure whether it's good or not that I'm calling the moves of Nikola, but at least he's playing fast.
So he's not getting mated immediately. I think there's a problem. There's just a big problem with the structure.
Yeah, the structure definitely could have been better. All of these pawns are potential targets.
It's still some
such an open
success, though,
position.
like to get an endgame equal material. I don't know how much longer it's going to stay equal material.
So Sergey takes a nice position for the knight on c5.
Nikola just ignoring the a6 pawn. Though it's risky for white to take, because if white takes twice with the rook first, there's rook a8 in the end.
But now f3 is already a little bit, because already your knight is finding a good square afterwards on f4.
The problem with f3 is then king f2 and the pawn is permanently probably a weakness.
Yeah, but he could have played the knight f4 afterwards, and the king, if king takes, he is dropping the knight on c5 because of discover check.
Yeah, there's definitely some like positional ideas to get the outpost.
I wonder why Sergey is not playing h5, because it's better to move this knight to like e7, right? And then you don't have any activations.
Yeah, the knight would be very sad on e7.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see like just positional grind from white.
And yeah, but unfortunately Nikola is getting into time trouble again. Maybe rook d8 here to pin the knight to c5 to defend the pawn.
It's funny, knight h8 I think makes more sense than knight e7. Because the knight actually has a path here to come to f7 and then probably
to
eventually
G4
come to
maybe?
d6 or h6 and g4. And on f7
d6,
you prevent
b5, something.
any pawn breaks.
Yeah. His pawn structure looks solid now, but actually once the knight on c5 is gone, these pawns become targets as well on b3 and on d3.
Yeah, the problem is it's hard to remove the knight from c5 because there's always b4, even if you attack it. I'm just realizing there's another idea with knight h8 to play rook h6 and then return the knight to g6 and just go after the pawn.
That's very, very smart.
Very devious. Not an easy idea to consider, like to put the knight in the corner and then just return it to the
But now the pawn on
square.
e5 is hanging. Okay, so
d4.
Interesting. It's still not so easy. It does look nice for white.
Nikola's holding on.
Time is a problem. Maybe rook
Very
d8.
true.
Because you don't want to allow these pawns in the center.
And if I were black, I would probably just throw in a move like a5, just so the pawn's not a sitting duck. But at this point,
d4.
you just got to play a move and pray. Oop.
Time.
Yeah, that game had a different feel than the previous ones.
Well, finally we
Sorry
saw
about
the Grandmaster in attacking seat.
Yeah, I lost.
He
I
was-
lost the sense of time. This is already a lost end game, I presume.
Well, it's better for me, but it was still a game.
You were holding it. Yeah, it's actually really nice how you were defending here and finding all these ideas. Knight h8, really nice idea. You
Knight
potentially,
h8 was very good, yeah.
like even rook h6 and knight back to g6 is an idea to attack the pawn on h4.
I
I think I was winning with h5 instead of bishop e3, but I didn't see this move.
Yeah, Nikola could have played f3 at some point and put the knight on f4, and I was surprised that Sergey did not push the knight earlier. But also, I think h5, h5 early was winning the knight, right? Because of the mate on h7. You
Yes,
played it
that's
so
what I'm
quickly.
saying, that
Yeah.
I should have played h5, yes.
Yeah, I was worried. I didn't really want to play queen c6, which I felt was kind of a little bit of a cop-out. But actually, computer considers that a top move. Yeah.
I was still impressed. So you survived like this middle game attack. I thought it was going to end very quickly. It just seemed like white had so many resources. But it was still nice to get some endgame.
Yeah.
All right. No, thank you. This is halfway point. I think it's 5-0, right?
Yeah, it's 5-0.
Very good. I'm going to mute myself and send the rematch, and let's look at the next game.
Okay, good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, this match is one of those matches where you don't really feel the time flying by, right? It's already more than an hour into the match, and it feels like it's just one really intense, and there is no time to really sit and think that we might get tired or anything. And it's also so fun to see the Grandmaster finally getting inspired to attack by Nikola.
Yeah, no, I feel like maybe it took him a few games to remember just basic some basic
who is
principles.
the stronger player here? He remembered.
Yeah,
wow.
But no, it's a fascinating, like this sort of matchup is just so fascinating to see, like how a super GM deals with kind of I don't want to call Nikola an amateur player, but an expert rated player, like who knows his stuff, but it's still hard to put up a fight, at least in some of these games.
Wow. The original Black Pepper, thank you so much for 3 months subscription in advance. That's so nice.
So
thank you.
I do want to apologize. I didn't realize the game started, but we're seeing yet another different opening.
Yeah, and at some point, the computer showed me that it's called Deutz Gambit. I've never heard this name before. Have you?
I've heard it maybe once or twice where like people in Twitch chat want me to play it, and then I just don't know what it is. But I've seen this move order.
Yeah.
And it's, I will say it's objectively fine for black, but it's super tricky, especially for blitz. And yeah, d4, it's kind of a surprise move, like the
and he took with the bishop.
Attackers.
Oh, but now bishop f6. This is a typical puzzle rush as well.
I think it just leads to a trade of material. It's complicated though.
Yeah, but then you take on e5 and f7 is hanging. F7 is hanging, right? Well, I mean, our queen, we have to take the bishop first. But you do open up the F file.
I mean, there's a few different captures to consider. So you're saying bishop takes f6.
Yeah, bishop takes f6, bishop takes
D1?
f1 is forced. D1, yeah, is forced. Bishop d8, rook d8, rook g1.
And there's even knight c2 in the end.
Yeah, knight c1, knight c3, knight a1.
Okay, so he's going into something. You have to take
but
the queen.
It's two pieces for a rook, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, after you take on d1, you're gonna take the knight eventually on a1. And usually I prefer the two pieces over the rook in these sort of situations, but black still has all 8 pawns.
I mean, it's fantastic position.
I'm wondering why he didn't take on f4. Maybe knight b5 was some idea.
Probably knight b5 is annoying, attacking c7 and a7. But now e takes c4 is already a good move.
We should note, so white has knight and bishop for rook and 2 pawns.
Yeah.
But he's not taking the third pawn, which looked free, like g5 ideas.
I wonder what he was worried about. He just wants to activate the rooks.
You know what? After e takes f4, there was rook f1, and if g5, there's g3. Some f-file pressure.
Okay. And if g5, g3. Okay, so some complications that Sergey wants to avoid. It does look pretty balanced right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, usually 2 minor pieces are worth a rook and 2 pawns because they can coordinate better together.
Of course, it depends what kind of position it is, what stage of the game. Of course, in an end game, 2 pieces become extremely powerful.
But always have to keep in mind, like black creating passed pawns.
But what about white pushing b pawn to break this pawn structure and create potentially, an outpost on d5?
Oh, you mean like b4, b5?
Yeah.
I think the issue is black can just kind of ignore it.
And bring the rook to an open file.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an idea. It's kind of this endgame minority attack.
Yeah.
And these sort of positions, when you have minor pieces, one strategy is to create like some weak squares for your pieces. Like you really want to create a d5 outpost, but it's not easy to achieve, and it probably takes a lot of time.
Well, maybe to start with, he could move the knight to e3, because it doesn't really do anything on a3, while black, until the pawns, all of the black pawns are still in places, right? So which means both rooks are not working. So white can just improve the position of the pieces.
And I feel like Nikola should have just played a quick move there. Like he plays king f2, which also looks fine, but there is no reason. He took 1 minute and 22 seconds there. As type of position, you should either play knight c2 or king f2 quickly and save time. At least in my opinion.
Thank you so much, the original Black Pepper, for all the gifted subs. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks to
Sorry
him
guys,
too.
it will be a lot of mowing now in my channel.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of support today. I know across all the channels, so very appreciative.
I will move this alert box over my face instead of Nikola because it's a bit disrespectful.
I have to cover up some face. This is move f5.
Yeah, so he is really eager to open up, but what does it mean?
So his threat was to take on e4, which I think he can still do.
Yeah, but if f takes e4 and he cannot
now
take on e4 now. Yeah. Another tactics.
And now black's gonna get a monster
and now d5 center. And this is very far from equal, unfortunately.
It's a very fun position to play for black because you just keep like building up the center.
And
Eventually,
then
we're
your
probably going to see the
rooks
pawns
become
progress.
monstrous, and white just cannot do anything here.
Yeah, I mean, you would love to, like, as white, you would love to have a pawn on d4, f4 to reinforce e5, but
Yeah, if
it's
you
not
had
the
an
case.
f4, it would be still probably much better. But black can simply put a6, then c5, d4, and it's almost unstoppable.
Yeah, no,
It's a
it's
lot
hard
of
to
moves.
like create a stable blockade here for white. Okay, we should note king d4 would defend the pawn, but wouldn't last so long.
Yeah, you don't want to have the king there.
So what Nikola is trying to do with this b4 move, he's trying to delay the advance of the pawn c5. But I think at some point we're going to see b6.
Yeah, put the knight to g4. It's kind of a blocker, but of course until b6, c5 or a5.
I like
Sergey
a5.
is just giving up the pawn, and then we'll push c5, d4, and it even comes with a tempo d4 check and then d3.
No, it's such a difficult position to play.
It does look like a wall of a Minister of Defense, true. We have comments in chat. Yeah, as correctly chess.com tweet said today, the Minister of Defense cannot adopt by only defending. You have to win all of the 10 games. And this is an adoption attempt by the Blitz and Rapid world champion and the challenger of 2016, Sergey Karjakin, against Nikola Stojsin. So Nikola only needs half a point at any game, and then he wins the match.
Yeah, the pawn's just too powerful there.
Yeah, this, unfortunately, probably the knight, if the knight was on e3, it would have been better.
I'm probably better after f5, yes?
Yeah. Well,
because my pawns are getting very strong.
Yeah, f5 was a nice move.
I felt like maybe bringing the knight to c2 and then to e3 would have been one of the ways to improve the position and
yes,
also prevent f5.
Moved the knight, and also I think that knight c3 was more natural instead of knight a3 somehow to get the knight to the center.
I have a couple of full disclosures here. I actually had this as a part of the opening prep, and I actually studied this whole line with bishop g4 with my friend and coach, international master Alex Lopez. And here is a small problem. I couldn't remember how the line goes after bishop g4. And I'm glad that I remembered how it goes, but I remember him warning me that this endgame is supposed to be equal, but it may be tough to prove it in practice. And that's basically what happened. I needed to get the knight in place sooner. I don't think, I'm looking here at the computer evaluations, and king f3 was basically where it's all started going south. According to the engine. So yeah, which actually makes sense. And then after f5 I didn't, I saw f5 but I fought, and then fe5 was just a blunder. So okay, very good. Okay, thank you Sergey.
Thank you.
Let's play one more game. Actually,
okay.
There's 4 more left. Thank you.
All right. Now.
Okay. Ooh, the first D4.
Well,
I was going to say, we're going to see a new opening.
No, it's not the Queen's Gambit.
Are we going to see a London? Yes. I'm so happy.
Oh.
I'm so happy.
I was expecting the King's Indian, but it also did not happen. Everyone is like, oh, please, please. D4 is such an exciting move.
So Nikola, if I remember correctly, has beaten me in the King's Indian when I didn't play a London. But this is they're actually going into like a very topical London line. Yeah, this is one of like the most critical variations of the London.
I can hear how excited Eric
I'm
is
so
right
excited
now.
right now. Yeah, because this is still all prep, at least for me.
So what do you do here with the queen? You
So
can
there's a
take
few
on
moves.
a2.
The main line is queen c3.
Mm-hmm.
Queen takes a2 is incredibly risky. Could result in black just
Bishop
losing
b5
really
is the main
quickly.
line, right, against it.
So there's some bishop e5 ideas.
Uh-huh.
Queen a3, I'll admit I don't know too much about.
Uh-huh.
It's probably the third most played move. But in general, the play for white involves this pin combined with pawn c4 and knight d4 and knight e5. And this is going to be a game where Sergey might be down material. Like after queen takes e5, white's down a pawn.
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be a lot of compensation. This is one of my favorite lines to play. So as black, you have to be very well prepared, and it doesn't seem like Nikola is in his preparation anymore.
He's probably is, but he's trying to remember. It's so difficult to keep all these lines in mind. Like we already had the Marshall, the Adams attack. We had different lines in Italian for both sides. They switched colors. So, and Nikola is not a professionally playing player. So it's not his job to play chess.
That's a very good point. Yeah, to have so many different openings to try and keep track of.
Of course, it helps to play all of these adoption matches every Sunday, basically. Today is only one exception where he has 2 adoption matches within 3 days. So he's kind of still in shape, right? Because of playing all of these games. And plus working with Elizabeth Petz and with Astane. But still.
But as he noted, like even if he studied like these specific lines before, you still have to remember them in the moment, which is not always easy to do.
Yeah.
And I've had many cases myself where like I'll go into a line that I studied like years ago, and then it's hard to come up with everything on the spot. I'm a little bit surprised Sergey is just kind of slow playing with castling. I thought it's more typical for white to be aggressive with c4 95, but okay, some time to figure out what to do for black.
So now black still can play either e6 or queen takes c5. I assume that any other move will be too slow. You need to castle as soon as possible. So it's either e6 or queen c5. Of course, a6 did waste one of the tempos for the development. So now...
So as black here, you kind of have to be a little bit worried of knight b3, which defends the c5 pawn and also covers the a5 square, leaves the queen very precarious.
Oh, he was completely different way.
So this move attacks the bishop, but it violates 2 opening principles. He's moving away from the center, and he's moving the same piece twice without most of his pieces developed.
I mean, even white can just ignore it potentially and do something active, like c4, for example.
Yeah, c4. It's interesting.
He plays on c7, also taking away a5 square from the queen. And now this knight also can get under attack by knight d4, for example. The knight will be hanging while knight would attack c6. So this move really was against this type of opening.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Nikola, he just wanted to trade material, like trade knight for bishop, but created some additional problems for himself. Okay, bishop g4 makes sense. Trying to diffuse the diagonal, pin the knight.
I like smash time fools comment that Nikola's hat is there to cover up Nikola's large brain so that Sergey does not get intimidated. I think intimidation already was successful after game 2. That was already enough of he can take it off. But yeah, this queen's position is of course quite worrisome. Oh, he does play c4. So now the king's safety becomes a big issue, plus the c6 will be...
We should note that c4 also opens up this kind of d1, a4 diagonal for the white queen. So if ever queen takes e5, there's queen a4 ideas.
Yeah, now queen c5 probably already will be losing. He plays e6, trying to take on c5 with the bishop and then castle. If he manages that, then black is okay. But of course now everything comes with a tempo. If queen c5, he can even play queen b1, attacking b8. And
oh, queen b1's a nice idea. There's also a tactic here of queen a4, then rook b8 will win the queen.
But I also like queen b1 because it comes with a tempo while freeing the knight on f3. And so his knight can join like knight e5 or knight d4. It's so many ideas. And then the second knight even can come.
So as black here, do you dare take on a2? I guess not.
No, a2 is long gone. You had this chance on move 6, 7. Move 7. You had this chance. Taking it now would be admitting that you did something wrong.
But Sergey plays your move right away. Queen b1. That's a very nice find. Because you're threatening rook b8. You're threatening to move the knight to various places.
Yeah. Oh, rook b7.
Ooh, rook b7. This bishop is so nice on c7.
Yeah, and then this bishop will be... What do you do even here?
The queen has to move
you
back.
already, but if you move the queen, then rook b8, and it's basically it's a mate. It's a queen d8 mate afterwards.
Yeah, no time. Resigning with 0.7 seconds left.
That's a skill.
Yeah, this is why you don't mess with the London.
Yeah, I think that a6 wasn't so good in the opening because it's losing of time.
A6, yeah.
My feeling, at least. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Eric is very happy because
I was so thrilled. I was waiting for a London.
Oh, he was so excited. Once d4 happened, he was like, "Oh, it's London! It's London!" So far, you did not repeat any opening. That's amazing.
I think after castle, you should not have played knight h5 because knight is completely out of game.
I don't have a zen of this particular position and this particular line. So I remember actually playing a game against Elizabeth Pechts and Anna Muzichuk, and I got crushed in that there too. So I think it's time for me to refresh my London thing. I didn't expect we would be playing London today, to be quite frank with you. So maybe I should watch some of Eric's videos on YouTube again. So
well, it's a type of line like you have to be very, very well prepared, I think, for black to go into.
Yeah.
So it gets very concrete.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that queen a3 is actually okay, right? It's just
probably not the main line.
So I think queen c3 is the main line these days.
Yes.
And then there's some idea where you leave the queen on c3, you play e6 and bishop e7, you just develop quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, live and learn. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I'll send the rematch. Thanks you, Sergey.
Okay.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, so this is game 8. Yeah, that's so much to learn. So many beautiful openings.
Yeah, it's nice they've been mixing things up. I think that game was the quickest game so far.
That's how badly can London go for you if you don't know the principle of
I mean, most people think it's just like a solid, boring opening, but there's room for fun. Okay, yet another. So we've seen a Sicilian, but we haven't seen this variation. Just a classical. White could play a rouser here with bishop g5. And Nikola going for f3. Also a solid move.
Yeah, that's classical as well.
So I'll admit, this is an opening. Again, I don't really know too much theory, but I know it is topical among high-level players. In classical Sicilian, maybe it's one tier below like NAJDORF and Sveshnikov in terms of just theoretical standing. But okay, we're going to see a fun position, pawn d5.
Oh, there is some trolling in Nicola's channel now saying that London is a solid, boring, unambitious opening system.
Haha. Oh, wow, there's 10,000 bits.
Provoking the commentator.
Yeah, it's always a challenge to manage all the trolling and chatter. But yeah, thanks again, Original Black Pepper, for all the bits.
Yeah, the Original Black Pepper, thank you for also gifting
generous.
a sub to 2511. That was really nice of you. Thank you.
I look away for a moment. Queens are
And
traded.
then it's cool. Queens are gone.
Just a more peaceful. I think after that last game, Nikola just wants a more peaceful, solid game where he's
just
not
to
losing
calm down and
in
to
15
have it under
moves.
control. He's playing white. His position is. I actually like. I like his position slightly more, but of course e5 is a better center for black. But the question is, what do you do
It
next?
seems relatively balanced. I mean, black's going to have a little bit more space. And question how you complete development for white. Maybe bishop d3 you can still get away with.
Yeah, bishop d3 or bishop b5, maybe provoke a5, a6, which will be a weakening of b6 square. With both players have a pair of bishops, both have a knight, so this is like the strongest combination of the bishop pair and the light piece. So moving the pawns for no reason here can result in some really bad consequences.
Yeah, I was going to point out that black sometimes has the idea of playing a6 and b5 to then later play b4. So it might be a useful move at some point.
But he probably wants to prepare it. Again, Sergey doesn't need to hurry up here. He can just wait and see what white will play.
Yeah, king c7 is a very patient move. But you are giving white time to put the rook on e1, and then white's completing development.
I see why we had this some server issues. It's a title Tuesday, and of course it's the first time Nikola is playing adoption match during the title Tuesday. That's why server is acting a little bit.
So it's all Nikola's fault for just overloading the server with this match.
This
Sergey
who is overloading the server. Big brain.
Yeah, there's probably many people to blame. I mean, the number, like just the number of active users on chess.com has been skyrocketing last several weeks. The servers have to keep up.
Yeah.
So this is another position. Like if I were white, I would play rook e1 probably within a few seconds.
Yeah, in positions like this, if you see a good move, don't look for a better one. I think it's better to save time for the end game, for the moment where you need to calculate, where there is this time will be really precious. And of course, having 2 minutes advantage for Sergey is already quite a lot.
Yeah, and if there's any like big takeaways from this match, of course there's opening preparation, there's these tactical moments, but I think a big thing for Nikola to improve on is just time management. And recognizing the critical moments and spending less time in the moments that aren't so critical.
Yeah.
And that's something that not too many people like specifically work on, but
Yeah,
That's a big factor.
rational time usage is one of the topics which is widely ignored in the literature. Because of course, end games are always a weakness. Many players probably underestimate how important end games are because they don't happen all the time. But of course, if your end game is quite weak, then you might even subconsciously try to avoid getting into an end game, which of course leads you to getting worse middle game, which can also result
It's a
in
snowball effect.
yeah, it is. But time management is, it also, of course, relates to psychological issues, which can be just being not not confident enough or playing with a stronger opponent and always double checking everything, overthinking. So here a lot of problems can come up.
But with all of that said, I mean, okay, Nikola still has enough time. I mean, it looks like things are gonna trade down a bit. Like he could force rooks off the board.
Yeah, he can trade the rooks. He can also consider maybe pushing f4 to block the central. Well, black probably doesn't want to capture on f4 because it gives more play to the bishop. But if you push your pawn, you block your own bishop on e6.
f4 is kind of a double-edged move. It does give black the option of e4, getting a defended pass pawn.
But of course, you have a knight. You can always move the knight to block it on e3.
Okay, I like bishop d3, just keeping calm.
I don't like g5 now. G5 makes f4 already impossible, or you would have to play g3 to play f4. And then black can play f4 or d4. Oh, sorry, e4.
Oh, you mean g4 from white?
No, g5. If black
playing
plays
g5.
Oh. Maybe it's not so... And then g4. Yeah, and to get more space. But even just the move g5 itself already makes you feel really uncomfortable.
Now h5 is gaining more space, preventing white from ever maybe even considering g4. And g4 was kind of a positional idea that if black takes with the f-pawn, you get this very nice e4 square for a minor piece. But that's not likely going to be relevant anymore.
Maybe f4 now is even better because we also gain g5 square.
F4,
Black will never be able to play g5 after knight f3 if black does not push the pawn. If black pushes the pawn, then of course d4 becomes available for the knight.
Okay, so Nikola trying to stir up something on the queen side. I did like the move a4, and b4 seems double-edged. Like you're trying to create weaknesses.
It's a bit risky. Also, your king becomes really weak now. I mean, I know this. We don't have queens on the board, but look at the king.
Yeah, and also the a pawn. Like you want to play rook a1 here.
Yeah. A pawn needs to be defended, but if you defend it with rook a1, it's e4. So these two bishops now start playing, and they feel the blood. And now f4 is probably too late.
Yeah, no, I guess the whole queenside play just backfired for white. Like Nikola wanted to create weaknesses in black's territory, but just created weaknesses in his own territory.
Of course, taking on h5 makes absolutely no sense because this pawn will simply run and you cannot stop it. Yeah, that's why he did not want to play f4. I also can understand these two bishops become super powerful.
Yeah, it was a solid position, just combination of, I guess, time pressure and creating some weaknesses.
Yeah, before wasn't good.
Yeah, before was just, not enough time to figure out what to do in this position. I think it was...
Well, the position should be equal.
Yeah.
But
maybe f4 immediately was...
Yeah, I think a4 was actually fine. It's just b4 was... Anyway, okay. Oh, well. Thank you, Warren Crowder. Greatly appreciated. Okay, so, all right.
Yeah.
I played this line before, and I think the position was fine, and then it's just I shouldn't have played before. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I think that in the opening, if White wants to play for advantage, White should play Queen E2 instead of Queen D2. It was actually my game against Wesley So 9 move Queen 2.
I'll check it out. Thank you. So the 9 Queen E2 as opposed to okay.
Yeah, but because after Queen D2 D5 we get the end game, which is drawish.
Okay. Well, I don't mind the draw against you for obvious reasons, but okay, it's hard to do. All right, very good. Let's send a rematch. Thank you.
Yeah, we don't mind the draw between Nikola and Sergey.
Well, it is interesting to see when they have like drawish positions, and then to see how Sergey creates chances to win. Sometimes it's just about being patient, like using the time advantage and waiting for the opportunity.
Yeah, time advantage is very important in this, of course.
Okay, so another new opening, B3. Nikola going. I've seen a lot of people do this where they try and just diffuse the diagonal. So triple fianchetto.
Maybe we will have the other one, B6 as well.
So you have to be careful playing B6 when there's some discoveries. Maybe it's playable, but...
At this point, it's probably is, but still, it's probably not necessary to risk like that. But yeah, about how Sergey is using the time advantage and some creating... You only need 2 weaknesses in order to win, right? As we all know from...
In some cases, you only need 1 weakness.
In some cases, but 2 is definitely enough. So you can probably call it like a balance wheel, where he just tries to shake the position from both sides until something cracks, and he starts putting pressure on that 1 weakness and then another. And that's what he did by moving the rook like rook from H8 to A8.
No, it's very instructive, because when you think about like a strong grandmaster playing a weaker player, you think that they're just going to like overpower them, like attack and find tactics. But there's also the notion of just playing like patient, strategic chess, and yeah, just being a bit more slow and methodical and waiting for the opportunities.
There's a lot of spam in Nikola's channel. No. Even I joined.
Oh, ha ha ha. Okay, yeah, I guess so, when one person spams, it's not okay. But then when everyone spams, it's completely fine, right?
Also, if commentators start spamming, this is definitely okay.
Yeah, then, yeah, I guess we set the example for people.
Biased commentator. I mean, it's hard to not to be. We all support Nikola, of course. He does such a great preparation. He works so much on his chess. He improved so much. And yeah, this is like a culmination of the
getting adopted by Sergey.
Of course, this experience is either way priceless.
No, it's incredible. Like, I mean, just not only like a life experience, but also just invaluable learning experience. Like, not every day you get to play a world. I think Sergey's in like the world top 20 still, because you learn so much from these games.
Yeah.
And I feel like
just a simple play, and he just crushes you. Whatever you do, whatever he does, he crushes you. He blunders, he still crushes you. It's just insane.
So I was going to say, I feel like this game is the least theoretical opening of everything we've seen so far. Like every game it feels like we've heard the players quote some like famous game in recent times, but now it's just kind of okay, natural development from both sides. A B5 is a kind of fancy move.
Yeah, I like b5. It does put this pawns b5 and c5. They're kind of called hanging pawns, and they can become a weakness, but can also become a strength of the black's position.
Sure. And just to clarify, hanging pawns, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily completely undefended and attacked. It just means that they're next to each other and there's no pawns on the adjacent files. So no pawns on the D or A files.
It's like an isolated pair of pawns.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a strength because they control space, but it can also be a weakness. If you ever advance one of the pawns, you leave the other one backwards. So, but for now, it seems like they're well reinforced. I like this move, Queen B6. You defend the knight.
And also want to bring the rook to D8 after developing the bishop. Bishop maybe goes to F5 naturally.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like between F5, there's G4, there's B7.
B7 is also a good position. Oh,
there's E6.
E6. We did not expect that, but
that would have
maybe
been my
he's
fourth choice.
Preparing C4.
A C4 is actually a logical idea. Like just try and create a passed pawn, and then maybe bring the rook to C8.
And of course, here white cannot be too careless, because if white thinks, okay, I'll take, they'll take, attack the bishop, I play rook b1, but then bishop f5. And here you will lose some material.
Can you repeat that one more time?
If black plays c4, for example, and white decides to take, thinking, okay, now black will attack the bishop.
Alexa.
That's Alexa. Yeah, I was just thinking, saying that if black pushes.
15 drama, starring Thomas Schnapple, RDR, and Amber Marie Bollinger.
Alexa, quiet. Quiet. I didn't think I said her name, but she's always listening. Sorry for that.
She's always listening. Big brother is watching you.
It's a problem sometimes.
Literally.
Okay, a few things just happened there. The knights have come to G5 and G4, and now black has lost this bishop and getting some ugly structure.
Yeah. The problem is that the bishop on e6 had a nice idea in mind, but it was too slow. He had no time to push c4, which would come with an attack on b3, because bishop would be attacking b3 through the pawn as well. But he simply did not have this, did not have the tempo for
sometimes
c4.
When you put your bishop on e6, you also want a pawn on h6 to just prevent knight g5. But here, I really like this move from Sergey, knight e4. This does so many things. It defends f2, it attacks c5 by unleashing the queen, also offers a trade of bishops. And the knight is can't really be removed from e4. As black's pawns are feeling
of course,
dumb on the
if
e-file.
if white wants to take on c5, they would have to trade the bishop first. That's what he does. And if he takes on c5, he has to be careful with knight f2.
Knight f2.
Or rook f2 maybe is better. And then you can bring the other rook.
So he's still going for it.
But also knight d7 comes.
You know what
with
he's
the
threatening?
fork.
Queen c3. Also knight d7. Yeah, so there's all these forks all over the place. Like so many of black's pieces are targets, you have really no time to take on f2.
Yeah, this is probably he overlooked this idea of queen c3.
Yeah, I don't even know how you defend both. I guess, okay, take on f2 and hope for the best. Oh, now Sergey can decide between queen c3 or knight d7. Oh, triple fork maybe incoming.
Oh, painful.
Combined with the pin. There's a term I like to use when you pin and you fork. It's called a pork. It's a very powerful tactic. A very delicious tactic.
Unless you're of certain religion.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, or just vegetarian or vegan.
Which can also be called a religion.
Yeah. But he goes for rook d7. So not even porking, but rather just going for the e7 pawn. That's a monster threat because then you're going to win f6.
Yeah. And now he can take on d5. Because when you're up material, also trading pieces is always helpful, useful. But also he's taking on e7 afterwards, and the position collapses. After rook e7, he also comes rook f1 with another fork, not the pork this time, just the fork. That's just a pin, sorry. Because the rook on f6 is not defended
Well,
enough.
now it is defended by the queen. But, okay, knight d7 still coming.
Oh, knight d7, painful.
Every single black piece is attacked here. You would love to teleport his queen to h5.
If
only
and
it were
mate,
Bughouse.
yeah, if the queen could be on h5, that would be nice.
Instructive game though. I like the play from Sergey. Waiting for the
Yeah, well,
opportunity.
but just bishop g4 instead of knight g4, and black was fine.
On
I
move
think-
15.
Yes. Just
Yeah.
not to give up this bishop.
Yeah, I was hoping to have a counterplay already on the f file, didn't materialize. So, okay.
Yeah, but it's very risky positionally.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
opens up
absolutely.
too much.
No. Okay. Well, here you go, guys. If you don't lose tactically, you're going to use positionally. What can you do? Anyway, it's fine. That's expected. All right. Last game. One more try. I did defeat two adoptions in the very last game, so I'm very hopeful. All right.
Have to go all out.
Going all out. Thank you.
Yeah,
luck.
we can expect even more spamming in the chat now. Don't overdo it, guys. Don't do it for the spamming. Do it for supporting.
So what opening
The
are we going to see?
original black pepper. Thank you for 5,000 beats
Ooh.
to Nikola. Thank you for this
Oh,
support.
thanks, Black Pepper. Yeah, always have to monitor Nicola's chat too. Wow. I just have
It goes insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I abandoned my moderation duties for today.
Hope there's at least one person who's still there who's a mod.
Yeah, but they already resigned as well.
Mm.
I saw a hedgehog just conceding to this.
Yeah, sometimes you just can't stop it.
No. You
Okay,
cannot
so
stop this.
yet another Sicilian variation. This time Sicilian KANN. I'm slightly disappointed we're not seeing like any really, really crazy, dubious gambits. But maybe that's expected between these two players.
Yeah, it's hard to expect it from Sergey because he already found himself in a couple of quite uncertain positions, to put it mildly, especially the second one. So going into a gambit line which he's not familiar with would be even more risky for him.
I feel like this
Because-
opening is just the opposite of a gambit. Like super solid for both sides. I think Sergey is probably going to employ a hedgehog, which I know is
So d6 also will be played. And then g6 and h6, right? That's
you don't always have to include these kingside pawn moves, but the hedgehog is usually defined by having at least the A, B, D, and E pawns on the sixth rank. And it's nice, like you control the squares on the fifth rank. There's a good number of people who consistently ask me in the Twitch chat to play a hedgehog. It's a nice sort of adorable animal.
or maybe I actually transposed it to a hippo. Hippo is
The hippo is
H6.
easy to get
That's
the animals
what-
confused.
Yeah, especially in my channel, I guess.
So
Spam
queen
this
d3.
flower to give Nikola power. I love
Ooh.
that. Anna Maya sets a trend. Let's do it. I've never had such a spam in my own channel.
I'm joining in. I feel like the strategy is just a copy and paste.
Yes, it is very simple. That's why it's called 5-head strategy.
Okay, I joined in once. I usually don't partake in spam.
Oh my god,
I
it's
felt
probably the
peer
first
pressured.
time ever Eric participates in this. So what do you
Just to
think
show.
is the idea of Nikola here? After f4, is he gonna continue with f5?
Ooh, b4. I guess the question is
He's
answered.
doing a hedgehog in the center.
But a more active, larger hedgehog, because he's on the fourth
Yeah,
rank.
that's like really powerful hedgehog, very angry hedgehog, I would say.
So angry hedgehog versus just quiet, peaceful hedgehog. Is he gonna play g4, h4, a4, and control all the fourth rank?
Ah, you know what it is? It's not hedgehog. It's porcupine? Porcupine?
Oh, porcupine it's I think a related animal.
It is a much
It's a scarier, yeah.
yeah, it is a scary hedgehog type. Porcupine.
Yeah, and I feel, do porcupines, do they shoot out their spike? Like if you're too close to them, they can shoot you with their spikes, I think. That might be a myth, I don't know. But you don't mess with them.
I immediately remember the Pokemon. There was a Pokemon with the same abilities. But they probably also do the same.
No, I don't remember my Pokemons. I would probably, yeah, imagine maybe there's some similar one. Anyway, Nikola, okay, first improving the bishop. That's logical. But G4 might actually be like a plan here.
G4 even. Wow.
Ooh, the spam has crept into my chat as well. I think
my
I'll
God.
allow it.
Yeah, spams this baby to help Nikola maybe. The chat is becoming very creative.
Yeah, it happens.
I'm waiting for my mods. Oh, there is Screws, the first mod who joined the trend. Something going south if mods join this.
Then there's some people who are like just joining the stream and they're seeing the chat and they're just asking like, what's happening today?
And what is happening? This is the last game of an adoption attempt by Sergey Karjakin, who does not need to be introduced, but we can do it again. He is the World Blitz champion, the World Rapid champion, the Vice World champion in classical chess of 2016, played Magnus Carlsen, and was leading in the match until the game 11.
He was very close to being world champion.
Yeah, he was also better in that game, but then collapsed under pressure. And Magnus.
But will he collapse under pressure in this match? It's game 10. He needs to win the match.
Yes,
all Nikola needs to do is draw. But there is a 1,000 rating point differential between them, at least according to chess.com.
Yes, according to chess.com, it's 1,000. If we take FIDE, well, Nikola does not have a FIDE rating. But if we convert his chess.com rating into FIDE, then it becomes 800, roughly.
So what are the odds?
The odds, mathematically, before the match, the odds were almost 4% chance for Nikola to avoid the adoption.
Wait, that's not bad. That's like 4 in 100. That's 1 in 25.
Yes, so it's 1 in 400 to draw and 1 in 800 to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but after 9 games, of course, this lowered. But not by much. He actually does not really have much of the change after each game because the chance is so small. But we only need 1 draw. That's correct.
And he has a very like stable, like solid position. Like in some sense, his pawns are kind of targets, but they also control space, or they are well defended. And this is a bit peculiar what Sergey just did.
And yeah, you saw that he played h5, which means Sergey was afraid of g4 happening, and now that h5 will become potentially a weakness, which white can play against. Already Nikola can play queen e2, and he really needs to hurry up.
Yeah, it's not too often you see h5 followed by castling.
Pretty cold-blooded.
But now Nikola is maybe a bit perplexed and taking a little bit too much time.
Yeah, queen e2, probably the easiest way to continue. He can also play knight a4, attack b6.
Goes for knight e2. Knight e2 unleashes the d file, also the diagonal for the bishop. But he's going to have to live on
attacking
increments.
b6. Yeah, he will have to play very fast now.
Yeah, it's
Doesn't
another
leave
position,
much
like,
room.
probably had to play some quicker moves. Like, sometimes you just play quick moves like king h1, h3. Knight g4 is a bit annoying.
Takes. Come on. Play.
And this clock is giving me
This
anxiety.
is so nervous. Oh, wish he could just get 2 minutes more.
We need to, like, find a chess.com. If you're a chess.com admin, you can, like, manually add time to play
If they're
games.
friends, Sergey can add time to him, but I don't think they added each other. Queen e2? Oh no. That was such a promising game.
Yeah, no, it was a cool opening position. But time, I guess time was the culprit.
Yeah, you just freeze. I know that feeling.
Congratulations, Sergey.
Yeah, congratulations.
Successful adoption. You, for the record, this is my 22nd adoption match, and I have lost only 3 against you, against the Grandmaster Albert Hambleton, and against the Grandmaster Anna Muzichuk.
Sergey, I think you're still muted.
Oh. Right.
Yes, thank you. I was saying that thank you, and it was very impressive that you played so well and was
no, I actually, truth be told, I had an online on-stream class with Danya about how to play these Maroczy bind positions. The problem is that I was completely out of the prep about move. After I play queen d3 on 9th move, the only thing I really didn't know what to play against b6 and bishop b7, and the only thing I remembered was what Danya told me was that in this position you're supposed to play f4 and b4. And anyway, it was...
Well, I think that in this line, after b6, white normally plays bishop e3, bishop b7, f3, and then rook c1, and...
gotcha. Okay.
Then,
yeah, well...
something like this.
Wow.
But it was also possible.
Okay.
Yeah, we were at least I was kind of hoping to see like g4, h4, a4, and just throw all the pawns. But
I was afraid of this, yes.
Yeah, we noticed that with h5.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
I was a little bit curious about the combination of h5 and castling kingside.
Yeah, it was pretty...
Is this just a typical idea, or...
No, actually, my move h5 was more like prophylactic against g4 because I didn't want to castle immediately because of g4, and so I played h5.
And then when you did castle, you weren't concerned about h5 being a target?
Well, I don't know. I felt like I would have time for the counterplay, maybe on c4 pawn or e4 pawn, something.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, but the position is of course very unclear. I mean, if white plays precisely, it might be slightly better for white. Maybe king h1 instead of knight d2 to have bishop g1 after knight g4 or something.
So Sergey, after 10 games and 10 wins, do you have any any takeaways or any advice you would give Nikola for, I guess, further improvement?
Well, Nikola is very good in the openings. It's just completely clear. He might play sometimes more positionally, like, I mean, for example, not to exchange the bishop on e6 to double the pawn. I mean, just to play some positional moves, and you don't have to be creative all the time. But he's playing quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So
thank you, Sergey.
I'm sure he would win next time.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. That's very greatly appreciated. I think, look, objectively, I had a 4% chance to avoid getting adopted. I actually definitely had chances. The best chance, I think, was the very first game, and there were a couple of end games that were objectively drawn. The problem with playing this game 10 position is I didn't have the plan. In other words, I didn't know after I got the position I wanted around, with f4, b4, bishop e3, and the rook ac1, after which I think I'm close to being better, if not better. I didn't know how to proceed, and obviously in a blitz game you don't have time, and especially against somebody like Sergey. So
yeah, you were completely fine. I mean, is that even in the final position, if you don't play f5, you can play knight ce2, and it's very complicated position.
Yeah. No, f5. Yeah, f5 was a desperation move in a basically lost position, or a lot. I didn't have time, so.
That is what I actually wanted to tell you, that you should not spend so much time, because you were in time trouble many times.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Sergey. That's very greatly appreciated. Sergey was kind enough to interrupt his preparations from the super final of the Championship of Russia, which starts this weekend. I'm going to root for Sergey, and let's hope Nepo doesn't hear me.
Thank you very much, Nikola.
Don't clip this, guys, please. I'm very much looking forward to the super final, and I'm looking forward to Sergey making many more appearances on Twitch and playing many more matches, which we're going to do our best to happen. I think Twitch as community can only benefit from having as strong players as Sergey as its part, which was after all the point of this match. To be very frank with you guys, I had more chances that one can hope for. So thank you, Sergey, again. That's very greatly appreciated. Good luck in the super final.